Tell me about Beme.
Oh, Beme.
Dude, it's Beme time, man.
It's Beme time.
All I know, here's what I know.
Yeah, give me the gossip.
I'm the gossip guy. I was on YouTube the other day and I was watching Jake Roper's channel and I was watching Casey Neistat's channel, and all of a sudden you guys were like, "Hey, we're doing Beme," and then Beme went under. So what I don't know, and I think what people would like to know, is what happened. Why is it no longer? Why are you no longer involved? Why is
Well, to preface, should we preface this a little bit? Like Beme, for those of you who don't know, Beme was a company started by Casey Neistat after they were bought by CNN.
So Beme was a...
See, we don't even know. This is why we need to ask.
Yeah, let me go back in time.
Yeah.
So Beme was an app created by Casey Neistat.
That's it.
And his partner on the project, Matt Hackett, who's like a brilliant engineer and manager.
Okay.
So they started Beme as this social media app, and the app was, I still have it on my phone. It doesn't work anymore, but the first app was kind of like Snapchat, where you could record like 5 seconds of your life and then we just upload it. But what made it interesting is that you couldn't actually have the screen active. You couldn't look at it. Because like on Snapchat, you're not really living. You're like, okay, I got to get this framed right. This was literally, you hold your phone up against your chest, the screen has to be blocked, and then it records, and you can't watch back what you just did. It automatically then uploads it. And that was the premise of Beme. It's Beme, right? Like you're actually just showing what you're experiencing, and there's no editing, or you can't redo it. Once you film it, it's gone. It's done.
Oh, okay.
So that was the app they created.
Yeah.
And then CNN bought the company. Not so much for the app. They ended up killing the app. But they bought it for like people like Casey, Matt, the tech team. Because CNN really wanted to get into YouTube and like focus on digital content and how to get a younger audience onto their platform. So that's where they bought the company. And then after buying it, Casey called me. Because a little fun story, I've known Casey for like 9 years.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like your guys' relationship goes far back before Beme, and it's like he's like looking on YouTube, who should I hire to help run this company? Like, oh, this guy looks cool. No, you guys had a previous relationship for quite a long time.
I've known him for like 9 or 10 years, because I think when I was 21, I first started working for him. Like I edited this Dockers documentary for him that him and his friend Oscar, who's now like a wonderful movie producer, were making, and they hired me to edit the thing. So I was working.
A Dockers, like the pants?
Yeah. They
give me like 2 seconds on that.
Because Casey, he always would make these branded pieces that didn't have anything to do with the brand. Like his Nike one's his most famous one, where it's just like, they gave me a bunch of money and I spent it on traveling around the world with my friend Oscar.
Right, yeah.
Or like his Do What You Can't campaign for Samsung. It's not about the phone.
Right.
It's about the idea of what the phone could be. And that's like how he does advertising, which I love.
Right.
So with Dockers, the documentary was called An Emasculating Truth. And it was about like what it means to be a man. Okay. So, and like Dockers, no one's wearing Dockers. Like, I don't even know what their engagement was, but
yeah.
So we did that. And that's like, so there's like a photo of me of little 21-year-old Jake on his Polaroid wall in his office. Like there's just like this little photo of me. I always look at it when I'm there and I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm terrible.
It's a little baby Jake.
Little baby Jake. So that's how I first met him. And we also did work at this television network called Plum TV together, where he would make like these ad packages and stuff for him. And I was just a producer there.
And that was before he did his HBO show.
That was before the HBO show. Yeah, so actually the guy, Tom Scott, who created, different than the YouTuber Tom Scott.
Oh, I was about to say, I was like, what?
This Tom Scott created Nantucket Nectars. And when he sold that company, he then created Plum TV, which was this television network.
So you went from Juice to TV?
Juice to TV.
Damn.
And so he kind of like found Casey. They found a lot of interesting people, like Supermarché, like Henry Juiced, who did Catfish, Casey Neistat, myself. Like we all started at Plum. And then Casey's TV show actually was helped by Tom Scott, because he started then working with Casey and was like, oh, let's like do movies and stuff. So they did a movie called like Daddy Longlegs together that I think Casey like executive produced and Tom Scott executive produced. And then they also did the HBO show that Casey had with his brother Van. So I was like 21, just sitting in the Chinatown office. Like Van had one side at the time and Casey had the other side. And I would just like edit. So anyway, I'd known Casey for a long time. And we just always been friends. And so, when this opportunity came up, he called me. He was like, you're the only person I can think that can do this. Like, we need to make a news network on YouTube. But he didn't even tell me that yet. He was like, I have this cool opportunity I want to talk to you about. Fly to New York. I was like, sweet. So I like flew out a few days later, met him and Matt Hackett and a guy from CNN.
Where did it go from Be Me, don't show, you can't see the screen, to News Network?
So it was this multi-pronged idea where we saw Beme as being Beme News, Beme Tech, and then Beme Productions. And Beme Tech would still be the same tech team, and they'd be focusing on 2 products. One was called Beme Panels, which actually did launch. And the whole idea, which I really did love, because I mean, like most people, you get sick of news, and especially the way that news is presented, it feels very disingenuous, and it doesn't. Yeah. It's not accessible to me.
Right.
The point of Beme Panels was that we would ask a question about something that was happening, and then you, the user, would upload your own thing. So instead of a talking head show of like 10 different people that you don't know that don't represent you, it'd be you. Be like, here's what I think about this topic. And then people could respond to your topic and just be like a whole discussion that you're having through 30-second videos. Huh. That was the first product. The second one was called Beme Wire. That one never launched. I don't even know if most people know it was ever in existence. But that was a really cool one too, where the thing we liked about CNN was they had endless resources that we could capitalize on. One of the resources that they have live streams from every single like press conference, every single like embassy, everything. We could sort those and like allow you to access every single live feed, so you would be the one who chooses what news you want to watch. So that was the app we were creating for that, and it also had this really wonderful facial recognition algorithm. So if it was like someone important speaking, it would tell you like, oh, this person's speaking outside the Turkish embassy. And you click on it and be like, oh, it's that person. It would give you a whole bio of them.
So instead of getting, like you do when you normally turn on CNN, getting the feed that's local to you, you could get any feed that they're
and also it's
recording.
Not curated by anyone. There could be no bias because you were watching it with your own eyes, not through a filter of somebody else's.
Right.
And that was kind of the idea behind it, is that you choose the news that you want to digest, and you digest it exactly how you want. No one else is cutting it up for you and serving it to you.
Mm-hmm. So when you fly out to New York to talk to Casey and Matt, like, how did they pitch this to you? Like, what were they wanting to hire you for?
They weren't sure at the moment. They were like, we just want you to run, either like be the creative director of Beme or be the director of production. I kind of was both. So like I'd sit in with Casey and Matt on like, what's the branding going to look like? How do we actually show things? Like when we have text on screen, like what does that look like? So I was in charge of like all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
And like, what is the look and feel of the show? The issue that we ran into is we didn't figure out the show yet. Like, I think one of the best videos we made was when I first got there. I was there for like a week, and then I had to fly back to LA because I hadn't gotten a place in New York yet. Casey and I just filmed a video about hacking because he had just gotten hacked. And so I was like, oh, I know about this cool device called the Pineapple, which allows you to basically spoof Wi-Fi networks. So you can create a Wi-Fi network and be like, free Wi-Fi, and then people connect to it, and then we get everyone's access. So we went to a Starbucks. We got one of the engineers at Beme, and we went to the Starbucks across the street. And the engineer and I sat in a corner, created a fake network, and then Casey like went up to the counter, ordered a coffee, and then like joined free Wi-Fi, and we could see everything he did. He like logged into his Chase account, and we could see like his username and his password.
Oh, whoa.
We could see everything he was doing. And it's so easy, just this $100 device we bought off the internet. And that's kind of what the impetus of this episode was. And we made it, we only half made it because then I had to leave, and then Casey started his vlog again. Because I don't remember, but after the company got bought, he stopped vlogging. He was like, I'm done vlogging. He was just going to focus on Beme. Then he started vlogging again. We ended up not finishing that episode. And then, so the long story short.
That's super interesting. There's a half-made episode out there somewhere.
Yeah, on my
about the
computer.
Pineapple.
It was really cool though. Like because also this is back, like he had that hack. Then there was that huge data breach. I think the Equifax thing like happened at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was kind of about how not secure you are. And that was kind of the whole conceit of the episode. And that's kind of what we had envisioned the show would be like. It would be kind of like this investigative journalism, but still in the style that Casey and I have, where it feels homemade, but also like high quality.
So how would the consumer access these multi-pronged parts of the network of Beme? What was the intent there? So
the intent was we'd have Beme News, which would be the front-facing YouTube channel. That would then feed to the apps. Like people would hopefully find the apps organically.
So multiple apps.
But also like one idea we tried doing, and we stopped by the end, but we would try and include Beme panels participants in a topic. So we know that we're making a video about like electric vehicles. Let's ask a question on panels about electric vehicles, and then we'd include those voices in the episode. So that was trying to drive traffic from both things. Then we had Beme Productions, which was meant to be the thing that actually generated revenue. That was like, okay, we have a great connection with Samsung. Let's make all of their commercials. We just have like Casey and Jake. Let's make documentaries. And that was the main thing that I was sold on. Because the news thing, I was like, okay, this could be interesting, and I want to challenge myself, see if I can do it. But the whole point was Casey and I do news for 3 to 6 months, and then that thing runs itself. We don't have to touch it anymore. And then we focus on Beme Productions, where my whole goal, I remember like sitting with them and talking to them, what I really wanted to make, I was like, let's be the first YouTube channel to get nominated for an Academy Award. I was like, I want to make a mini documentary that gets nominated for like best mini doc at the Academy Awards. How do we do that? And that was like one of my big pushes, and like everyone was super excited about it. We never got there. But that's kind of what Casey and I had focused on. We were working on like a YouTube original show that'd be a documentary series about YouTubers, but done in the style of like, Fog of War, Thin Blue Line, where it's someone talking directly to camera, and then we do these beautiful recreations that are cinematic to express what they're talking about.
Right.
But we didn't get to that point.
Huh.
Now, anyone who's familiar with Casey Neistat or Beme knows that it eventually did get shut down. What led to the eventual shutdown of the company? Like, I know there are lots of different factors involved. Can you talk about that?
Give us the summary.
Yeah, there was a few things that led to it. Because at the end of the day, even though we did have, which I'm very grateful for, CNN did give us complete control over doing anything we wanted to. At the end of the day, they were our bosses, and they had a different vision for it than what we did. Originally we were given a very long runway of 3 years to figure out what we wanted to do. And it takes time. Like, I think creating something new, like you have people like Philip DeFranco who make incredible news content on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we wanted to create something different and new and exciting that wasn't like Phil, that wasn't like Vice. And that takes time.
Yeah.
And we finally, I think, found our footing about a month or two before they shut us down. But the reason that led to it, there was a few factors. One was that they were planning on this merger between Time Warner and AT&T. The merger got killed and the Department of Justice killed it. They weren't able to do it. So they had factored all of their budgets and all their things for that. Since they didn't have that happen, they then had to lay off a lot of people and like adjust their budgets. So that then lowered our budget to such a degree that it didn't really make sense to keep it separate from CNN anymore. So they're like, we're going to roll it up into CNN. Casey at this point kind of wanted to do stuff, other things. And he didn't like having to work with a bunch of people. Like, he's a very independent person, which I think...
He's a lone wolf.
Which most creators are. I mean, the reason that we do our stuff is because like I can edit it, I can shoot it myself, I can write it myself.
Right. It makes it personal.
And I think, and I understood his frustration with working with a bunch of people. It can be frustrating. Because again, we were trying to figure out what the show is going to be. And in that period, we didn't know how to run a news business, so we leaned on CNN. CNN was like, you have to hire like these 8 people that do these 8 jobs. Like, okay. But then we had them and we didn't know what to do with them. Because like, well, we're still trying to figure out what the show is, but now we have all these people that need to do stuff. So I think there was just a lot of pressure there. But the main issue was just the merger didn't happen. Then when that didn't happen, like when I went down, Casey was like, I'll just do my vlog and work on other projects. Matt Hackett was like, I'll just do other stuff too. I don't care.